Yeah. We're back, everybody. Back in the game like Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, we back and we better.
Yeah, how's it going? How's it going, world? How's it going, PDX? And now, how's it going, world? Welcome to the show. This is Brown Table Discussions. I am your host, DQ Scott, and this is our other host,
Beth Hernandez. Hello.
Yes. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I missed this.
Me too.
Wasn't it
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah.
It seems like every week I was like, cool, we get to go back in the studio, record, and then something came up.
Yeah. Well, that's production life.
Hey, it'd be like that. You're right.
But we made it happen, and I'm glad.
Yeah,
I mean, especially because now we're back and we got some more things to add. We're on video now. So while we're doing this, also what's up Radio World, but what's up YouTube? How you doing? So I'm encouraging y'all to listen to us on the radio or on Spotify or anything else. If you can be like, I want to see what they're talking about. Now you can go to YouTube and find us, and you can see, and we can bring you more stories, give you more insight, and get a little more in depth, because sometimes you just need that visual to get the whole feel of what's going on. Sometimes you just gotta see it.
That's right.
To believe it.
Shout out to our dope engineer who's helping out with all the video audio.
Chase Ross, thank you, sir. Yeah, shout out to X-Ray for putting all this together. And
definitely
doing the work to do it too. Shout out to everybody. Word, I know, right? It's like I was like itching. I was like, I need to get back in there. I got so much I want to do.
So much to talk about.
Yeah.
We can't even get to everything today.
No, we won't. So we're just going to pick and choose because we got a lot to go over. And we want to talk about some past stuff we haven't had a chance to hint at or get at because we've been gone. And some stuff that I think it's happened in the news or just around us that just didn't really get a lot of attention because there's obviously a lot going on. I'm going to do my best not to talk about DT today. But it might come up in just natural comments, but I'm not going to have to go off on it. I'm going to try. No promises, though. Just know I care about you when I'm doing that. All right. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's get into some headlines. Missed that song.
Headlines. Headlines. Headlines.
All right. So to start off, a young rapper by the name of Juice WRLD, I'm sure a lot of you have heard, has recently passed away due to some health complications. It was initially announced it was a seizure, but since then I think some other news has come out, and so I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot that goes into this investigation and us hearing about it as the days go by, because the information gets deeper. One thing I think is sad about this is that he was an artist that got a lot of respect from a lot of different people, especially different ages. Like, he seemed to cross the boundary, especially in the age of mumble rappers. I feel like it was like, oh, this is something new, and he's got his words. Even though he definitely was a voice of a generation, I think the quality of what he was doing was appreciated by all. So I think it's sad to have something like that go, as well as just a young man who's just becoming successful and starting off his life. So I feel for that. But Beth herself personally knows knows the people involved and stuff, and so what are your thoughts?
This is such a blow to his whole group of friends. They're like a very tight knit group. DJ Scheme, Ski Mask, the Slump God, and these are the same like everybody else in their extended group. They're the same boys that just lost XXX Tentacion. You know what I'm saying? Like last year, and so this is a really, really tough blow to this whole group of very tight knit friends. And just. As soon as I saw the news that morning, I just instantly thought about them and started praying for all of them, because I know that they have not recovered from that yet. And now here is another one of their really close friends who just lost their life. And so, just been trying to kind of check in with, different people around them to just make sure that they're doing okay, kind of watching their social media and see what they're talking about. And they're taking it pretty hard. You know what I mean? Very, very hard. One of my good friends was just on tour with him, and, he's not taking it very well either. He called me the other day and is just kind of shook up about it, because there are so many layers to the story. There are so many things that just don't add up. They don't make sense as to why the situation played out the way that it did. And it's just left a lot of people feeling very uneasy about it all. So I think the investigation, and when all things kind of come out into the world of, the truth behind everything that happened, we're going to get to the bottom of the story. But it's unfortunate that if someone were to die, that it had to be, him. Not that we wish it upon anybody, but it's just a very tricky situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's just someone just so respected and liked, which is hard to
Yeah.
find in the world of entertainment or anything nowadays.
Absolutely.
It comes like that. I would like to point out something interesting with this in a sense. I would like to get into some of the investigative stuff we talked about earlier too.
Yeah.
But I want to point out something, which is also a part of something I want to do for the show. I decided not to do it for this in a way, just because it didn't feel right at the time. But I I find it interesting looking at comments on news stories from certain news to gauge where the public's at on certain things. I actually want to do a segment on it where we just discuss people's comments on certain topics and how the public feels from a general feel of what we gather from that. On this subject, on this person, and with other people who have recently passed, especially young artists, especially people of color. One of the most common phrases, and this kind of goes along with certain parts of white America with their phrasing of certain things, like your Blue Lives Matter and some other things. There's just certain terms, or like thugs or some other stuff. There's certain language and certain rhetoric that goes around. And one thing I've noticed the most is like, oh, never heard of him. Never knew him. Who is that?
Right.
And it's like literally people going on like, who? Huh? That's like the joke. They're like, I've never heard of him.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it makes you so cool.
Yeah, 63-year-old Dale.
Of course, Dale.
From Topeka, Kansas, doesn't know who Juice WRLD is, and he
Shut
thought he'd
the
get on
fuck up, Dale.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to get on the Up Rocks or like other hip hop website or other news site and be like, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
So let me get it right. You stupid ass didn't read the article. You can't Google search anything. Never heard of him.
Right.
No
But
one
if
heard of
that's the case, why even comment?
Why make that
Get
comment?
click off the
Yeah,
link, bro. Go
yeah.
back to golf or whatever
Yeah.
else you were watching, because this obviously has nothing to do with you. It's not relevant to your life. It doesn't affect you in any way. Goodbye.
It's an obvious play against how much they hate young black culture.
For sure, absolutely.
Because like, wait, I've never heard of him.
Right.
Well, millions of other people have, but no one cares about you.
Right. And this isn't for you, bro.
Nah.
This
and
is
that being
my problem,
that
though.
being said, who is it? It's like you're one click away from finding out.
Right.
You could click on the link and read the story and
Right.
find out. And if they did, you realize he wasn't a bad person. Like, oh, just another stupid mumble rapper dead. That's
No.
what people just like to jump on this. Like, this is a problem.
But I think the most important part about this whole conversation is that people need to also understand their place. Like, every conversation is not for you, folks.
No.
Let me repeat that for the people in the back with the hearing aids.
One more time.
Every conversation is not for you.
Yes.
If you feel that you don't have anything to positively contribute to the conversation, kindly click off. Go find something else to entertain yourself with, because you're being disrespectful to somebody who passed away. You're being disrespectful to the people who follow him, care about his music, were moved by his music, by commenting and continuing to act like you don't know who this person is because they don't matter. They do matter. They matter a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
kindly shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that. I just hate the pattern of it. You can
Yeah,
find
no,
out
I
something.
agree.
You can research. People like to willfully play ignorant in these situations. Like, well, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to disrespect him. I'm just saying I never heard of him, but that's sad.
Goodbye.
Like, why do you say? Well, who cares if you haven't heard of him? That's not relevant.
This is somebody's son.
That's irrelevant.
This is somebody's son.
Yeah. And I'm sure he doesn't care if you haven't heard of him because he's popular new and he's on a whole different plane. He doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's insane. I just think it's sad how like this is how people are starting to view just people in general. Like there's people who die in general, I think, in a way. But it's definitely prevalent with like young
people of
black
color.
artists.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree.
It's this kind of stuff. But yeah, and also getting back to another point of that too, like the investigation part. I think it's odd that how the federal authorities apparently have been looking at him ahead of time. The pilot of the plane he was on called the authorities.
The authorities, yeah.
I'm seeing we have this. I guess it's because of the guns on board, but all the guns are registered except for one. But even then, they couldn't determine. They can't even determine now whose it is. So it's not a thing. That's bad. But it's like, yeah. Imagine he has security if they have registered firearms. All right, I don't see the problem with that.
Right.
Especially if it's on a private jet. Okay, that seems okay too. They had a bunch of weed. It's kind of stupid, especially across state lines. But I don't know. I still don't see weed as that big of a deal. He wasn't really trafficking it. Still, that's
none of these things are like so bad that you would have to swallow evidence against yourself. Like this, the point I was making earlier was, if this was Future's plane, right, or Drake or any of these other guys that surround themselves with 20 dudes wherever they go, any of them, somebody in their posse would have been like, bro, I'm taking the hit. Even if this is your stuff, I'm taking the hit because I love you. You're my bro. You've looked out for me, whatever. Why did he feel like he had to be the one? Like, what does that say about the circle of people that he surrounded himself with? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did you feel like you had to do that?
Yeah.
If that's in fact what happened, right? Like, again, the investigation is not finalized, but why did you feel like that had to be you? Why didn't anybody step up and say, bro, chill. We got this. Let's go flush it or whatever. But you felt like that was the best
Like the
option.
option for
You know
you
what
to,
I'm saying?
yeah.
That bothers me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like we'll come back to this
For
at
sure.
some point in
For
time. So
sure.
we don't have to get too
We'll
deep
have to
into
follow
it.
up.
Yeah. I think the world will just let us know. Now this is far from done. I'm hoping there's not some crazy conspiracy against him, because that's
No.
sad. Because it's like, come on, he's like 21. Is this going to
Super
happen to every
young.
young rapper now? They're going to have to get
Super young.
investigated by the feds now because
Mhm.
he had this image or this style. I don't know. You can
But
blame Tekashi for that, I guess.
rest in peace to Juice WRLD, and
Yes.
prayers go out to his family, his mother, his extended family, and all of his fans who are taking this very hard. His fan base, a lot of them are very young, and this is a huge blow to them. So we
Yeah.
have to be mindful of that too,
Yeah.
while making these very inappropriate, rude comments on the internet. Remember that a lot of kids idolize this man for whatever reason, and we can't try to erase that. You know what I'm saying? And we
Yeah.
can't try to minimize that. So let's be respectful.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, this is going to be a funny transition in a way, but let's get on to it. 'Cause I'm talking about something we have to stop.
Oh, God.
Mr. Kanye West is reportedly planning a Yankee Stadium show with Joel Osteen in 2020. Can we say money machines?
Like, literally.
Like literally money machines. Look at these dollar signs just clicking off. Everyone's ever know of Joel Osteen? He's a mega church pastor. He's one of those. He's a prosperity preacher. And if you haven't heard of these types, they use the gospel to enrich their audience, to let them know that God wants them to be wealthy and healthy. And the only way to do that is to make sure the pastor is wealthy and healthy. So you give more money to pastor, more blessings will come back to you. That is the name of the game, and Joel Osteen runs it fairly well.
Fairly well.
Now, so I got some videos for us to watch this. Have you seen him talking at Joel Osteen's church?
No.
So Joel Osteen decided to actually get him on the stage to talk at his church, and he actually did a little bit of an interview afterwards. So let's just watch this and break it down so we can see if his intentions are pure, or we'll just use that as a judgment, because I don't want to I want to hate on him because I know he's fake. I know he's lying, But I mean, like, I have to come somewhere with that. I can't just make up something.
I just have a problem with the fact that he chose Osteen to begin with, right? Like, there are so many other pastors. If this is really what you want to do and you want to make an impact, like, there are so many other ways to touch people within the Christian faith, etc. But like, you went to him, because
Sorry.
He's on the same tip that you're on, and that's why it makes me feel like, okay, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, so let's hear it, and then we can judge. I'm not saying he's bad with this; it's just not good.
For a long time, and the devil's been distracting me for a long time.
Sorry if the video's coming; it's a little slow.
And when I was, in my lowest points, God was there with me and sending me visions and inspiring me. And I remember sitting in the hospital at UCLA after having a mental breakdown, and there's documentations of me drawing a church and start a church in the middle of Calabasas. And even after that, I went and made the Life of Pablo album. I said, this is a gospel album. And I didn't know how to totally make a gospel album. And the Christians that were around were too, I would say, beaten into submission by society to not speak up and profess the gospel to me, because I was a superstar. So, but the only superstar is Jesus. So as I sat there saying, I'm going to make a gospel album, Christians that were there that were not, excuse me, brother, I go into these streams of consciousness when I'm talking, and when you're speaking in the middle of it, it distracts me. I really appreciate the support, but I would like for everybody to be completely silent so I can let God flow through me as I speak to you guys today.
Catch that little Kanye attitude.
Oh, for sure.
So in the studio, and this studio, it's going to compare to places that you're in life where people tell you to quiet your voice and not talk about Jesus, so loud. But everything else is so loud around us. When I'm in California, when I'm in Vegas, they got posters up advertising, sex trafficking. Because if there's an advertisement for a strip club, that is advertising sex trafficking, because at the end of the night, when they close up, the manager says, how much traffic do we have? So if it's a man that's going through things with his family or going through things at work and he feels he has to go there, we all end up participating, whether it's the spirits that get advertised to us all the time. Alcohol they call it a spirit. So we get constant advertisement for spirits. We get constant advertisement for strip clubs and other things like that. But then we bring up the name of Jesus, we're told to be quiet that down. So even for someone who's professing God and saying, this is going to be a gospel album, the devil's going to come and do everything he can to distract people from knowing how to fully be in service to the Lord. And all of that arrogance and confidence and cockiness that y'all seen me use before, God is now using for him.
Yeezy still costs $300. I'm just saying, like, I want a pair, but I can't justify that.
And then a couple weeks later, he's like, I'm just going to paint myself silver and get really weird.
Right? Like, what was that about? Can we touch on that?
Can we explain the transition of what happened here? From here to there. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I see this. I'm like, okay. And then he does this, like, a couple things afterwards. I was like, see, this is why people are a little weird about the shit you're doing. I don't know if I could trust your words off of this. And then just little hints of everything, too. You know what? And he pulled a classic preacher line. Classic stuff. He's good with wordplay. Mm-hmm. Preachers are really good with wordplay to make themselves sound smart. When you kind of think about it, it's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense at all. It's like sex traffic. When they come in, it's like, how much traffic is there? It's sex traffic. When they come say that, when they come to strip clubs, say how much traffic. It's like sex traffic. It's like, it's not the same thing. And it's totally unrelated. And on top of that, like, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, if anything, okay, you could say that strip clubs are immoral, and I agree. I mean, here's the thing: I don't like going to strip clubs personally.
I don't go.
Not a huge fan. Don't really like them at all. But if I've been to some, I've had an okay time. Not really my thing. Never really liked them. Have my own reasons for that too. But I don't like try to get on strippers for doing what they do. That's just not my thing. Do what you have to do. That's just not me. That being said, it's like that doesn't have a relation, to. What's the best way to put this here? That doesn't relate to other people necessarily, and everything he's talking about relates to himself, because he's obviously a sex fiend, even with that, you're such a fucking hoe. Like, and he's even admitted he has porn addictions. Yeah. I mean, even his wife, he pretty much talks about like porn star in some ways. That's one thing. The drinking and all that stuff, I don't know what kind of drug problems he's had, especially with drinking. I could see that being a problem for anyone else. But even doing the same thing he did with that, it's like drinking, it's a spirit. See, they call them spirits, they sell them as spirits. I mean, that's the thing. That's a good buzzword for a Christian church, because they think everything has a spirit. Anything evil that comes against them has a spirit to it. They would talk about my show like that show has a spirit on them. I don't like it. Like, say I have a spirit. You know what I mean? So I could see how he uses that in a way, but like I'm not catching any personal truths. I don't necessarily see the growth where he comes from. I don't hear any scripture coming from him necessarily. So I don't know. I'm not trying to call out his fakeness in this. I think it's just very convenient for him to hook up with the richest, the biggest mega pastor, and have all this running, and then he's playing the game. Like, but he's got mouthpiece. He's a hustler, man. Like, of course he's gonna give a good speech in front of a church.
Of course he is, and he's an entertainer. At the end of the day, you got to remember he's an entertainer. You give him a microphone, you put him on a stage, he's going to entertain. Yeah. He knows how to do that. He knows his audience. He knows how to play to his audience. So none of this is impressing me, but in the least, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like. And again, I'm not the most. I obviously have a faith that I subscribe to, but and I don't follow everything to a T. I have a lot of growing to do myself, so I'm not one to judge anybody on where they are with their faith, etc. That's not what this is about. But optics, if we're talking about just optics, like you say that this happened back when you had this mental breakdown, etc. But then you still put out like 3 albums after that. None of them were this album, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's
A little
after
raunchy, a little rough.
very
Yeah,
right. And so
yeah.
it's after he's been pissing off the black community, the all people of color with the MAGA hats, etc. Like you felt that. You felt people. What part of your spirit was speaking to you when it said, "Go put that hat on and go piss people off"?
Yeah.
People who buy your records, people who spend money on your shoes, come into your shows, etc. What part of your spirit or your faith told you that it was okay to do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm not claiming to know, but I feel like he's doing a lot of this to kind of try to get back his place in the culture
Yeah.
because he had fallen so far from it.
It's
you
a
know?
very long-winded version of "I Believe I Can Fly." It's just Kanye's, but it's a very Kanye West version of "I Believe I Can Fly," which of course is going to be way over the top
Way
in
over
the
the
production.
top.
I mean, with the Sunday services thing, right? It's like Sunday service. Oh, it's cool. It's giving faith. Yeah. How much was those tickets? Like a couple $100 or something like that?
The church
Yeah.
clothes, remember we talked about this?
Yeah, it's like I was playing sweatshirts, a couple $100.
$50 for the pair of socks.
Yeah, you see the brunch they had. It's like $200 brunch. They got like too many pancakes and like a very unnatural color looking piece of sausage. It looked worse. It was like Fire Festival meal for like $200.
Oh, bro. Oh, God. Okay. I can see
People
it
were
now.
like, "Yo, Kanye West is charging $200 for a bunch," and I literally got 2 pancakes and a piece of sausage
For
on a
a-
styrofoam
for a
plate.
McDonald's
Yo,
breakfast.
pretty much like no syrup, no utensils, nothing like that. That's it. Just
So
saying.
again, it just doesn't add up to me. You know what
No,
I'm saying?
it
Like
doesn't add to me either.
there's a lot. If you really want to embody the spirit of Jesus, peace be upon him, he was all about humility and giving back to others and doing for others, etc. Like Kanye.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. We can
Yeah.
see right through some of the things that you're doing. And
Yeah.
again, like you said, pairing up with this dude in particular, when you could have been, you could be on a mission. If you really want to embody this spirit
Yeah.
of Jesus, go on a mission. Go give back.
Yeah.
Go do things without having to have 10 cameras recording you at all time,
Yeah.
without doing it on a stage in front of 10,000 people.
Joel Osteen's a showman, though, so
That's
he,
what
he
I'm
knew
saying.
he knew what he was getting out of this. He
What
knew
I'm
exactly what there's a lot of other preachers that are around that would probably go along with the message for Kanye and welcome him more, that don't deal with so much money on such a level. Maybe that's how Kanye sees it, as a sign of respect or something. If I'm really giving him the benefit of the doubt in his view of religion.
Do you
But-
remember during the hurricane in Houston that Joel would not open the doors to his church to the
Yes,
people?
right.
I went down there to volunteer
Yeah.
and I saw the water and I saw where his church
Yeah.
is located in the city and I saw where people needed to be. And bruh, you could have been helping out a lot of people and you chose not to.
That's when I first met you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah, that was the reason. That's crazy.
So I had you come on the air. I was like,
That's
you did
right.
what? You need to come on the radio.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's just keep an eye out, y'all. Just don't be deceived. I don't know. Do what you want. If you want to be a fan of his, be a fan of his. Just don't be a dumb fan of his. Just don't give him any money. How about that? You can listen to this. I don't care. Just make sure he doesn't get your money.
Yeah.
Support someone else. Pay. Get someone else to do all that. He doesn't need all that. He's obviously taking people's church money. I don't know. Just don't give him money. Just don't buy his album.
Oh, but
Or
the
his
Yeezys
anything.
are so cool. I want that. But I'm not going to buy them. I'm not going to buy them. I'm going to be strong.
All right. If someone gave you a pair and you wore them, I won't be mad.
I mean, if you want to buy them for me, my name is Ebets Alter Ego on Instagram, and I wear a size 7 in women's. Holla.
You can just get back. You just get back at him. Just buy some knockoffs.
Oh, I can't do that. For the culture, I cannot.
That's a whole nother subject, though, too. I was thinking about that.
It's true.
We gotta define if it's a hip hop or the culture.
Mm.
We'll save that for a rainy day, rainier day. All right, quick notes, everybody. R. Kelly has been charged with bribery in connection with his marriage to Aaliyah. Now, he's not being charged with marrying her necessarily, because that's something he already got away with. Mainly because he's bribed so many people over the years. Everyone wondered how he got away with all this. You can read magazine articles of like 20 years ago, and they pretty much perfectly describe how he's paid off a lot of family members, like uncles, aunts, brothers, etc. of her and other people. He's like paid a lot of people off, and a lot of people were like, "You disrespected my family member, this young girl. Here's $50,000." And they're like, "Oh well, yeah, just don't do it again." But he's paying off multiple people, 20, 50, some even less. They don't know. They don't know they can get him for more than that for what he did. They're like, "Oh, $50,000, that's a lot. I'll take it." So he got away with paying like petty bribes to a lot of people. But this is for paying a bribe to the judge that allowed it to happen.
What?
Yeah, so they're getting him for this one. Now I'm kind of curious too, because at the same time, like, I figured it has to go through multiple people, right? Like, They must have had to pay off more people to do this. It couldn't have been just the judge, right? Like, don't you
I
have to
don't
like
know.
you have to get certain documents? You can probably forge them, but don't they have to be forged from the place it comes from? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't
because
remember what you have to
he
do to
pretty
get a
much
marriage
faked he pretty much
license.
faked her being 18 on the marriage
Right.
license, and he signed off on it. But I figured you have to go through other steps. I guess I don't know because I've never been married.
I have. How do you go down to the courthouse, you fill out a document to get a marriage license, and it asks obviously all your, information, date of birth, yada yada yada. You fill it out, you give it to them. I feel like there's one thing that you have to get notarized, or is that to get divorced? Awkward. Awkward. I don't remember.
Hey,
But
did you
yeah,
think
it's
of?
not a difficult process. And I do feel like if I came to that window with all my documents and it all looked legit, the person on the window would just stamp it and be like, here you go. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
So I'm wondering at what point, and then they give you like I mean, I don't know how it worked back then, but they give you like a list of judges, and you pick one, and then you call them and you say, hey, can you come to my house and marry me and my
Yeah.
husband or whatever?
Yeah.
And then if they say yes, you ask them how much they charge, and then they come to your house and sign the paper,
Okay.
do their little speech.
See, now the thing is that's really, really interesting is that everyone knows how old. Everyone knew how old she was already. You know,
Right.
people knew already.
Right.
You know that she wasn't 18. So that's kind of the weirdest part to me about it all. Like, it was very well known. I'm not saying she was the biggest artist at the time, but she was not little. She was
Right.
definitely known. Everyone
for sure.
everyone knew who she was. Most parents do because their probably kids are like, Aaliyah,
Yeah.
you know. So like, that's the thing that I think is so weird how I could skate by so many people. I'm just curious as to is anyone else gonna get in trouble because he obviously didn't do this alone.
By himself. No,
So
no,
now,
no.
now I'm starting to think, okay, obviously he had so much help throughout the years doing this. So is this going to be the beginning of us seeing
Mm-hmm.
all of his handlers or his people or helpers, you know?
Well, we talked about this when we talked about the documentary series that had came out, and there was managers, they were assistants, all types of people really incriminating themselves on tape because they're saying, yeah, I was the person booking plane tickets for the young girls.
Yeah.
I was the person getting their transportation, etc. I
Yeah.
was the one. Because R. Kelly can hardly read and write.
Yeah,
So he wasn't the
yeah.
one on, mind you, there wasn't internet like that, all like that back then. But like, he wasn't the one doing this stuff by himself,
No.
like you said. So what
No.
is what are the consequences for all these people with this whole ring of people?
And I'm sure those people are the ones who thought of the creative ways to cover it up for him.
Exactly. And that's
'Cause
where
I
it
don't think
gets
he
even
came
worse.
up with that himself. They're like, I have to protect him. So it's like, oh, now you're going to go deeper down the rabbit hole for this guy?
Well, you got to think about it. He was their source of funding for
Yeah.
everything. He was the boss. He was the one making the hits. He was the one getting the Grammys, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna do whatever it takes to protect him, even if it meant breaking the law, etc.
That's a crazy law to break.
Man,
I mean,
these
like, I
people
would sell
are
some weed
insane.
for R. Kelly, but I wouldn't, like, get him underage girl. Even though I've never sold weed. I'm just saying as an example. Like, if it came down to things you could do, I'm not saying any crimes, any worse. You know, I am saying that. There are worse crimes than
Absolutely.
others. Obviously. That is huge.
This
That
is very bad.
soul crushing. There's, like, you know, yeah, there's selling weed or doing drugs or, like, whatever, you know what I mean? Maybe lying for him on his taxes or something like that. And then there's, like, affecting other people's lives, especially this type of
And then
lives
there's,
of young
we
girls.
knew you had 16-year-olds in your house and you were actively having sexual intercourse. with
Yeah,
them.
and I'm going to go back to work for you the
and
next
I'm gonna
day.
go lie to their parents.
Yeah.
Or make sure their mama can't get in the house to get her.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I'm
want-
saying?
yeah, I
There's
want-
that level.
Yeah, I want those people. I just want those names. That's
That's what
all.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I want to get at some of those folks. I think we have to. That's just crazy. Man, crazy. All right, let's go forward on the show. All right, let's talk about something happy. I'm bringing up something because there's so much to go off of. I still feel like it's fun to talk about stuff because we're venting. This is us venting about stuff, a lot of ways. But you know what? Speaking of venting, a lot of people have a lot of trouble traveling around the city. We drive. I ride my bike around a little bit, but like I'm mostly driving now, especially since I moved further out of town. So it's part of a thing. And sometimes you just need something to kind of help you feel like feel better about what you're going through. Just like that good feel-good song about your troubles. You know, that happens once in a while. And we finally got one for Portland.
And it's really good.
It is really good. So everybody, if you haven't heard of, you've been under a rock only in this city. Anyway, if you're even in Seattle or Vancouver, you're like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. But if you live here in the city, Portland, like we do, you've obviously heard of this. There's a rapper by the name of Slick Devious. And he has a song called Bus Max Walk. And there's a video for it. So I'm going to play it for you. we're gonna comment on it afterwards. So yeah, sit back, enjoy smooth sounds of Slick Devious.
Hey, hey.
Where the bus Max are walking. Sometimes I take the 12, 71 or the 72. 72.
Okay.
I don't really mind the ride, 'cause I know I'm coming home to you. To you. I just take the time to write. That's where I make most of my tunes. I really love the view in my BMW. My BMW. I'm bus Max walking, doing what I gotta do. Everybody from the front to the back, where the fuck is you at? Come on, folks, let me know how you gonna get to where you go.
It's the tightest train tracks to top.
Everybody from the front to the back, where the fuck is you at? Come on, folks, let me know how you gonna get to where you go. Is it Tigers, train tracks, or toes? This goes for those that got no fare. Pull up to the stop, hope the cop's not there. Fake address in case they wanna come question me. First time fine, second time they arrested me. Yo, I gotta make it all the way to Gresham. Stressing as the pressures of the day starts to set in. Rain outside, sneakers squeaking from the wetness. Creeping through the east side, delivering my message. Everybody from the front to the back, where the fuck is you at? Come on, folks, let me know how you gonna get to where you go. Is it Tigers, train tracks, or toes? Everybody from the front to the back, where the fuck is you at? Come on, folks, let me know how you gonna get to where you go. Is it Tigers, train tracks, or toes?
Yeah.
Yo, his dancing is the best. It's my favorite part of the whole video.
Yeah. Thank you. You know what? I'm stoked. I'm happy that like just show some local artists still kind of doing a thing. Slick Devious has been around for a minute.
For a minute, absolutely.
Yeah, but I like seeing like local artists still kind of get at it and doing that quality to their art and their work. Like that was such a Portland
Oh,
video,
so Portland.
especially with the throwback '90s style. 'Cause I don't think a lot of people like. I remember when I first moved here, seeing those Max commercials like that look just like that, and I was like, what? I don't know. So that was good. I don't know. It's like having some hometown pride. You know, you don't get that too often, especially around here. Cause we just shit on ourselves pretty much.
Man.
You know what people that do from Portland that love Portland do? They just talk shit about Portland. So it's nice to see like some
all
guy.
the out of towners coming here complaining about literally everything. Why
Yeah.
are you here?
Yeah.
Go back to California.
Yeah, I still got love for it here. It's nice to like see that like, oh, thank you so much for reminding me. Like you could still love being here. I don't know if the figure became so popular to hate being here or like just hate on Portland. Just seemed cool.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Like I'm not a part of this. Yeah, you are. You live here. You've been here for like 10 years. You're part of this. You did. This is you.
Right.
Come on. Don't do that. Take pride in your city, everybody. I don't care where you're from. Topeka,
Shoot.
Kansas, Salt Lake City.
And shout out to all the
Kenworth.
other artists that are still out here making dope music. I know
Yes.
y'all don't get the props you deserve.
Yeah.
It's hard. Man, stick with it. Shout out to Win. Shout out to
Yes.
Keith Canvas. Shout out to everybody who's literally out here just putting on for Portland. It's so dope to see it.
Yeah.
We watching and we love it.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Crenshaw, too. I see you, boy.
Yes. Hi, Mike.
Doing big things. Love you.
Coolness.
Yeah.
That's
Cool
my bro.
nuts. Yeah.
Big bro.
Terrence. What I'm about. You know what I'm about. It's my game. My grind.
Hey,
Oh, man. I'm going to have to have a whole Cool Nuts appreciation show.
man, let's do it.
Let's just have a throwback. Love that. All right, guys. We got to probably get into some not so happy stuff, but we have to talk about this. So, some of you may have heard, Trayvon Martin's family is being sued by George Zimmerman for like $100 million. No, I'm not making that up. He really thinks he deserves this money. Now, a key part about this that I find interesting is that the lawyer that's doing this, his name is Larry Klayman. And he is, long story short, he is a crazy conspiracy theorist who has brought up like many false, pretty much was a part of the big cases against President Bill Clinton. But most notably for me is that he's constantly on air on shows like InfoWars and all these other crazy news sites with crazy conspiracies. Long story short, he is Alex Jones with a law degree.
That's terrifying.
And I'm hoping that this comes into play during this trial. I'm thinking that alone should just be like, yo, this is the lays away the credibility of all this in both parties involved. Because I think the only way George Zimmerman believed he could do this was that he found this guy, the one crazy enough lawyer that's like, oh, I think you have a case here.
He might have even come to Zimmerman himself. He might have thought this whole thing up and been like, I got it.
Yeah, because I was like, something's weird about this. George Zimmerman's kind of gone crazy after all anyway.
Oh, for sure.
There's a bunch of other stuff. With no remorse, by the way. He's very openly being like, I don't care that I did what I did. Even though he's like, everyone's coming down on me. I can't date anyone. No one likes you, fool.
You killed an innocent young boy.
Kid and you're
like,
racist.
What? Yeah.
That's probably why. It's not really good for dating
No,
profile.
but because the case has been so public, it's not unthinkable to imagine this dude sitting at the house watching one of the reports and being like, you know what? If he came at it from this angle and said this, and that, he might have a case.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like putting two and two together. Like you said, look at him. He's ancient. Like he's been doing this for a long time. So he knew how to put this case together.
Yeah. Like he actually has something, especially if this is like in the process of happening too. Like if the system's like, well, I guess we have to follow these guidelines because even though this is bullshit, we have to do this. They have a case brought on to do it. I'm also wondering if they're banking on the fact that like, we could, you know what I mean? They're probably banking on, I don't know, man. Like maybe they're trying to bankroll him out too. It's like, well, maybe we can maybe we can outmoney him through the legal process or something like that. But I don't think that's going to happen. I bet you a lot of people are going to have Trayvon Martin's family's back.
Oh,
if
for
it comes
sure.
out of that,
but his
mother,
Sabrina Fulton, is actually running for a public office. And I feel like that's another reason why the timing of this is all very
yeah. And especially George Zimmerman to even like put his name. It's like, what? Like, like what kind of anguish has like, I mean, everything he's going through is all on him. You can't sue anybody for that. Especially if you killed their child. They're going to say, yeah, screw that guy. He killed my child.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course they're going to say that. That's kind of part of the thing. If you ask me, you got off easy, just take your lumps. You didn't go to jail, nothing. You still trying to do this?
But also think about this. The mother and the family can only do so much as individuals.
No.
The people who actually have come after him is the media, right? Like the mom is not sitting at the house writing press releases to the media and saying, hey, say this about him. No, you got to understand a lot of the stuff that's out in the world. This is the media doing their own research, putting together their own whatever, their own coverage and whatnot. That has nothing to do with the family.
Yeah.
So if that's the angle you want to take, then you need to be suing the media.
Yeah.
They're the ones that made this. They're the ones that put it all together and created an image of you and put it out into the world, not the family.
Yeah. He did it himself.
Facts. You shot a gun and you killed a kid. So.
And in case you're all wondering how these things are progressing in society nowadays with the rest of the country, even cops are getting sick of it. So I'm going to play you a clip from the Houston police chief. I don't know if any of you have heard. The current police chief, one of his fellow officers and the chief was gunned down while on a call. And he was gunned down by a domestic abuser. The domestic abuser had a gun, and they were the officer responded to a call, and the domestic abuser with the gun ended up shooting the officer. Thank God he still didn't kill, his wife or whoever else he's doing. It sucks that anyone died.
Of course.
But that's the thing. Like, which keep in mind, by the way, that it's a very common thing for abusers to somehow get a hold of a weapon because there's a lack of checks, balances going on. And it's so cute, people. So now even the cops are sick of it. So here's Houston's police chief with a few choice words for people who are holding up these things, such as Mitch McConnell and other people in government offices who are refusing to push through a lot of initiatives that have been demanded by their peers, and they're just letting them sit there. So here we go.
They need to get in a room. I don't want to hear about how much they support law enforcement. I don't want to hear how much they care about lives and the sanctity of lives, yet We all know in law enforcement that one of the biggest reasons that the Senate and Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn and Ted Cruz and others are not getting into a room and having a conference committee with the House and getting the Violence Against Women's Act is because the NRA doesn't like the fact that we want to take firearms out of the hands of boyfriends that abuse their girlfriends. And who killed our sergeant? A boyfriend abusing his girlfriend. And the fact that his mom, his father, his wife, his sisters, his friends, and ultimately the community that he laid his life for will be putting him to rest before Christmas because of the cowardice of the political people that we have in office. You're not a Republican, you're not a Democrat, you're not a conservative, you're not a liberal, you're not a progressive. You are an American, and American blood is being shed every day in this community, throughout this nation. And do something about it or retire.
Boom. Woo.
Bars.
Yes, thank you, sir. Representing.
That was dope. That was really dope.
That was
I
dope.
need
Shout
to
out.
look him out. What's
Yeah.
his last name?
Sorry, let me double check here because I already closed it up. I forget things. I was about to move on.
I
to
was
the next
fine.
thing.
I'll Google it because he was dope.
Yeah. But yeah, I think
appreciate
I think that's amazing because all this stuff has been held up for a while, and I'm worried about it. And you know, anyone can get a hold of this stuff, and it's just little things make me worry. You know what I mean about a lot of this stuff because like a lot of stuff's starting to hit home as of late. You know, like I've been nervous about this. It even got brought up last night while I was at work. Somebody was like, "Yo, you should think about getting a gun for the bar." I was like, I'm not.
Man.
It's like I'm not doing that. I refuse to do that. So. Anyways, what's been happening lately is apparently our internet's running down. That's all right. I have a memory. So what brought this about having a gun at the bar is the fact that over the past 2 months here in Portland, Oregon, especially around the Northeast area, we have had about 7 armed robberies happen. All of them at late night establishments, bars, and restaurants. Pretty well-known spots: Mott Crest, Lombard Pub.
Yeah,
stuff
2
on
in my
42nd.
neighborhood. Those are
Yeah.
in my neighborhood. I live in St. John's.
Yeah, and so like this is, and it's going all the way to Northeast. It's mainly the main hub of the area in town. And the thing is, they do this around closing time, but not even extreme closing time. It could be like midnight or 1. Well, there's still a good amount of customers there, but you know all the money's in there. What's been built up for most of the day, most of the revenue's there, right? Not quite put away. People are a little lackadaisical. Bartenders are focusing on closing out the night. Getting the bar shut down in a sense, monitoring customers, make sure the money's straight. It's like there's a lot that's happening mentally. Easily could be distracted. Hard to pay attention. You got so much going on. This is when they hit. They come in there and they strong arm, pull out their guns. Not only do they rob the bar, but they also rob the patrons, which is scary. And if somebody is honestly was just like, you should get a gun from the bar, it's like that they have to get a gun to pour drinks. It's insane. To service somebody and give them food and drinks. Like that's crazy. Like no, I refuse to do that. But it's crazy because stuff like this, because it's like, well, who's going to come by? What's going to happen? People are robbing people. We got abusive boyfriends and stuff. I've seen stuff happen at a bar, too. I've seen, like, ugly boyfriends, like, get crazy on their girlfriends, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, this stuff goes everywhere. So it's kind of common with the public. I still refuse, I'm not against guns. Like, I grew up shooting guns with hunting and stuff like that. But I don't think it's still necessary for everyone, especially like the way I live my life. I don't need a gun, dude.
They're just way too accessible.
Exactly.
There's way too many, and they're way too accessible, and there aren't enough measures of security to keep them out of the hands of the wrong people.
Yeah.
It's too easy for you to walk in Walmart or, the gun shop on the corner and get a gun.
Yeah.
That's the part that's scary for me. I don't necessarily feel like we should disarm the entire country. I don't think that's the best course of action either, but there are definitely some people who don't need to have access to guns, period.
Like abusive boyfriends.
Right.
Or people with mental disorders. Or people who are like 16.
Like if somebody has a restraining order against you, I feel like that should be a red flag. Like, okay, somebody feels unsafe with my presence or with this person's presence. Perhaps they don't need to have a gun, right?
Yeah.
Like things like that. Like I don't think anybody's checking for that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the thing, because a lot of times they can't, which is the even crazier part. You know what I mean? Because like these people, like, I mean, it's as simple as that. It's not even gun. The thing is, the gun control initiatives that have been put forth that are on Mitch McConnell's table right now that have been sitting for a long time deal with mainly that. It's not even taking away everyone's guns. Like, yo, he's like, well, And he's pretty much like, like said that, like, I forget what he called it. He even, like, Mitch McConnell made a joke about it, like, oh, like, it's like, I'm the gun bill killer or something like that. He is like pretty much just like, this is not gonna happen,
That's some bull.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine was killed in a situation like that where he was sticking up for a girl whose crazy abusive ex-boyfriend was, harassing her and whatnot. And one day he just kicked down the door and shot him in the chest. So that was the end of that. And it's horrible to think about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The fact that could have been the girl. Thankfully for her, my friend was there to, see her through that situation. But then his life was taken.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. Look out for each other too. Like, I don't know. Like, I've known some men over time. You know what I mean? Like, I've caught their behavior, and sometimes I gotta tell them, like, yo, you're tripping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're not friends anymore. We don't hang out. We don't get along now. If we see each other in public, it probably won't go too well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I don't feel bad about doing that because I know it's something I absolutely had to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, at the same time, like, I'm also kind of I don't know. It's a tough one. It's not that easy. Right. I know it's not that easy. It's not like this. It's not like the one and all solution. It's going to take a lot of steps. And I guess that's what worries me the most, just knowing that. But we got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
It definitely starts with being a voice and, like, taking a stand. So thank that police chief for doing that. And hopefully Mitch McConnell listens. He's not going to listen, though. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. Oh, man. Well,
what's going on?
Oh, my internet just went down. I can't reconnect. But I don't need it. I got backup plans. But it sucks, though, because I wanted to do... Oh, am I back? Are you going to let me back, baby? You going to let me back in the game? Probably not.
I'm up. That's weird.
I know, right? Technical difficulties. Well, what else should we talk about?
Let's see. Let me pull out my handy dandy sheet.
Nice. What do you want to talk about? TriMet? Fairly Square? You want to talk about Lizzo?
Ooh. I want to talk about Nick Cannon.
All right. Let's talk some Nick Cannon. Well, let's see if I can get this going again because I want to play the track. If we can do that.
Oh, yes.
Which I need for. I don't have it because you can't download that stuff. 'Cause that's how music works.
So, Nick Cannon?
Nick Cannon.
And Eminem, what is this beef? What is this beef about?
It is about.
Oh,
As
Lord.
in, most people are like, we talking about? It's about Mariah Carey and then the diss track from Fat Joe. But no. What is it really about?
Dun, dun, dun.
Is this about promoting, the new season of Wild 'N Out? Sorry, let's just for some background for some people who aren't, hip on these things. Eminem made a diss song. I guess threw out a diss to Nick Cannon on a track from Fat Joe. It's about Mariah Carey and some other stuff. But the real big story here is Nick Cannon deciding to jump in on this and throw a diss track at Eminem, which is, if you think about it, that doesn't make sense.
Suicide.
Why would anyone do that?
Suicide.
Yeah, why would you do that? That's insane. You know what I mean? Why'd you get in the ring with that monster?
Right.
Just it's crazy. Why is Woody Allen trying to box Mike Tyson?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. So that's what's happening here. So the thing is that Nick Cannon has like 5 people on the song with him on all these tracks, and it's kind of like I think everyone just pretty much this is for promotion. But he kind of hits home on it, but you haven't heard it yet. And here's the thing, some of the stuff they say in this is a little too much. I'm like, yo, that's kind of like, talking about his wife and his daughter and stuff like that now too. Again, which he doesn't like, because they try to strike a nerve. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to play for you the first diss track for Nick Cannon's and the Black Squad's diss against Eminem. And it's called The Invitation.
Ooh.
And are you ready? Here we go.
I'm ready.
It's madness.
I haven't heard this, so this is all new for me.
Number will be monitored and recorded.
Check this out, Eminem, whatever your name is, right? I don't never do
That's
no
Suge Knight.
But Nick is family. This is your invitation to prove to everybody else what you're about. What it takes all. Eminem's a bitch.
Punish everywhere, now it's money on the bed. I could say I love it, but it's hard to understand. I just want the real, baby, you can have my last. You know if you go out, baby, ain't no coming back.
Ain't no coming back, that's a fact, it's the invitation. Told Joe to lean back, don't get hit with this retaliation. So fuck with crack, but the white boy, he fuck with crack. Pills and smack, shit, he about to relapse. Call Kim, somebody get Haley. And that other kid you raising, that ain't even your baby. Took a page out of Drake book, this might get a Grammy. We going back to back till you respond on the family. My baby mama killed you off a decade ago, and you still crying about it, bitch. You know who really the hoe? I called Joe to set you up, and you fell for the job. Slim on show for the video, cause he terrified of my squad. Heard your chauffeur got a video of you sucking the cock. You paid him off, then laid him off. Now who really the op? Should call me the new Pac. I ain't no killer, but don't push me.
Wait,
How the
what'd he
fuck y'all
say?
got me better?
Call me the new Pac. Whoa.
Yeah.
Hold
Let's bring it back.
up.
I know, he's
Yeah, run
disrespecting
that
a lot of
back.
people.
Like
I'm gonna go
5
back-
seconds, because boy is bugging out
I
right
do you a
now.
favor. I'll go back a couple because there's definitely some of the stuff.
Yo, he's talking mad shit right now.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Josh Slim on show for the video, cause he terrified of my squad. Heard your chauffeur got a video of you sucking the cock. You paid him off, then laid him off. Now who really the op? Should call me the new Pac. I ain't no killer, but don't push me. How the fuck y'all got me battling Elvis Pusley, nigga?
Punish everywhere, now it's money on the bed. I could say I love it, but it's hard to understand.
Yeah,
I just
fight
want the
word.
real, baby, you can
Incredible
have my
game.
last. You know if you go out, baby, ain't no coming
This
back.
gotta be karma, cause he's shit out of luck. Eminem the perfect name, cause this nigga a nut. You used to beef with Nickelodeon Nick. He called hit and I come with the mop and get on my custodian shit like bada boom. Dotted beam. Lima scene got spaz, put Eminem in a bag, it's Halloween. This ain't an 8-mile battle, man, I'll do you awful. My competition in the target, I think it's Marshall. Holla.
Punish everywhere, now it's money on the
Who
bed.
are these
I could
people?
say I love it, but it's hard to understand. I just want the real, baby.
Oh, wait, that was like...
I
What's
got
his
it.
Go out, baby, ain't no coming back.
Come on, Nick, that's Marshall. You don't need help.
Nigga, you a rider?
No safety, fuck a seatbelt. What, is he out of his mind? I got a Glock, and don't Eminem belong on the side of a 9? That's crazy. Man, you act like Nick hurt in your dreams. You a Eminem, how you mad at Starburst on the scene? Let me find out you still in that trailer park, this how we do. Run up and shoot the trailer, this the preview. Clips,
Punish everywhere, now it's money on the bed. I could say I love it, but it's hard to understand. I just want the real, baby, you can have my last.
I am
Go out, baby,
Nick.
ain't no coming
He
back.
ain't really for the culture. Fuck his baby mama in a choker. Pick her up like a chauffeur and then to the wall like a poster. On them, she'll get cracked like cocaine mixed with soda. When I take her, so if the bitch die, I'ma still eat her, I'm a vulture. I'ma write your name in your mouth. You 47 chasing clout. Obsessed came out in 08 and you just putting something out. Cause Marshall think he an 8, but a white boy with a backpack. I do the shit for my real niggas, not the white boys trying to act black on God.
Punish everywhere, now it's money on the bed. I could say I love it,
All right. Let's pause for a second. So we got a lot to cover.
I know,
so.
I'm trying to start Googling
Yeah.
who these people are.
So for one, I think it's crazy how they keep hitting on the white boy thing with
Yeah,
him. I was like, okay,
definitely.
that's the cheap shot.
Totally
Doesn't
a cheap
count.
shot
I
for
already get
sure.
it. I'm not giving you props for that.
Right.
2, yeah, who the fuck are these motherfuckers? Who is you again?
Are they off the show? I
Yeah.
don't watch the show, so
They're
I
off the
wouldn't
show.
know.
That's the thing. He's trying to promote him for the show. You can tell he's trying to
Right.
build something off of that. And his promotion for whatever. He's got a lot of stuff going on right now.
He has a lot all the time.
Yeah. And then just some of the shots they're taking at him. Okay, he pretty much said he paid his chauffeur, accusing Eminem of paying his chauffeur to throw away sex tape of him. I mean, is that true? Like, I can see if it's a rhyme disc, but it seemed like they're going for realism here as a style. So, I mean, are you like trying to throw out real stuff that happened and you can back it up, or are you just making up stuff? And that's okay if you're just
Right,
gonna like
right.
battle this. I feel like he's doing both, and it's like, well, you can't just make up stuff. And especially you got 5 people. Why are these people mad at him?
Right, exactly. I was about to say
Why are
that.
you mad
Like,
at him?
I
What'd he
understand
do
the
to
beef
you?
between y'all, but
Yeah.
what did you do to get these homies all riled up?
Riled up. Yeah. He's like, I need a crew to look hard because it's Nick Cannon. That's why.
Charlie Clips, Suge Knight, Prince Easy, and Hitman Holla.
I've heard of Hitman Holla. I still don't really know. Yeah. I will give them this. Some of the rhymes are creative.
Yo,
and
yeah,
fun.
one of
Like,
the dude, yeah,
yeah.
homie had bars.
I was like, oh, that's creative. You got some good lyrics. You like,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah,
you got
bars.
good punchlines. But all right, let's continue.
but it's hard to understand. I just want the real, baby, you can have my last. You know if you go out, baby, ain't no coming back.
It's time to shit that old busted ass motherfucker. But you gotta realize, you run that shit out there, man. And at the end of the day, you got every person in the industry and every person in the streets saying, where he gonna go? He just the new vanilla ice. It's just a matter of time he hanging, right?
Shug,
Eminem's a
honey.
bitch for bringing bullshit up that's not true. Say some shit, and then when shit get a little hot, everybody want to fall back. Or they want to run around with all these police. You know, that ain't part. You gonna be a rapper. Anytime you're a rapper, you shouldn't have a whole bunch of police badges around you. Anytime you be a rapper, you supposed to be able to meet up a motherfucker to handle your business.
Like when I gotta run over somebody with a truck, I have to go to a movie premiere. I handled mine. They're like,
Damn,
yeah,
you
like,
went
like,
there.
let's take some advice. For one,
From
why is
Suge?
Suge on your track? He murdered somebody. He is not a good human
Why?
being.
Nick, come on.
You don't associate yourself with someone like him.
no.
You messing up. You're trying to get the street cred and looking bad.
Mind you,
Don't give me.
look at how the title is written, like the name of the song, The Invitation,
Featuring
Eminem
Suge,
diss, featuring Suge Knight. So he doesn't name none of the other people on the track but Suge.
Yeah.
And all Suge is doing is talking shit from the prison phone.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Oh, so what do you like? Oh, what he should do. This is how you handle police. You got arrested in jail for murder. Shut up.
Oh, no, this is so bad.
Yeah.
That motherfucker simple. Nick Cannon is a force within itself. And if you and Pac was having a conversation, y'all got the same energy of doing stuff for the people.
Okay.
You're not scared to do stuff for the people.
Okay.
So if this dude want a real target on his back,
Okay.
that's on him. But don't talk no shit and go in the hype. And you know what you call a man who ain't gonna stand up and fight? He's a bitch. We should tell the motherfuckers in Detroit he got 24 hours to respond. They need to kick his ass off that motherfucking city.
Suge. Bruh. Nick Cannon pays your Secures bill. Right. Like, he pays your Secures bill. He puts money on your books. This is why you're on here doing it. You chasing clout too, bro.
Yeah,
You are in prison for murder, chasing clout
Exactly.
on a diss track. That has nothing to do with you at all.
And you know it's funny, especially the whole thing too, because Ray J is messing with Suge now, doing some death row stuff or whatever.
God.
I don't know. So it's all over the place. And I was like, who's authorizing this? How is this going on? Why is this happening? Somebody needs to stop these fools before this gets too out of hand. Because I don't think it's good.
This is just a mess. Okay, wait. Where's the Eminem track?
The Eminem track, I still haven't had a chance to find it. That's the thing.
Let me see.
Yeah.
If I can.
And oh Lord, look at that. The internet went out on me again.
I think mine went out this time too.
It won't let me go. Streets won't let me go. Oh no. All right. So, to get back on topic of things of sorts. Sorry, everybody, we have some technical difficulties here, but we're working it out.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So as it goes with shows. Nick Cannon. We'll look into more of this. We'll do this again next week because this obviously isn't over. And we have to look into Eminem's diss track. So maybe we'll do a whole thing.
I just saw it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So you go the whole thing.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Like the whole thing. We're going to cover all this. Because this obviously isn't going for a while. So welcome everybody once again to another great episode of Hip Hop Promotional Beef.
It's so fun.
I mean, it's a creative way to get free advertising.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Start beef. Even like, you know what I mean? Yo, I think everyone took note of the Great Chicken Sandwich War of 2019.
Oh my god!
And they're like, you know what? We don't even have to pay for advertising. If we start beefing on the internet, everyone else will do all the work for us. So much so that I think at the end of the day, after that chicken sandwich thing, it was $68 million in free press.
That's crazy.
$68 million in free
That's
press.
crazy.
Yeah. I want some thanks. All right, y'all. Now let's should I? Oh, this is tough.
Come on, let's do it.
All right, I wonder if I want to. I'm gonna have to do this. She deserves it for this, but maybe she doesn't. We'll be the judge.
Is she the who? Is she the who man's is this?
Who man's is this?
Ooh.
Hey, who man's is this?
Yeah.
Oh, man's is this?
Man's is this? I need to know.
This is more of a different type, though. You know, because we don't have, you know, we're not biased against sexist here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this is definitely more of a whose woman's is this?
Hey, yo, who woman's is this?
We're gonna talk about Lizzo for a little bit, everybody.
Let's do it.
So I don't hate on Lizzo. I'll admit I'm not a total fan of Lizzo either, though. I think she's got fun music and all that, but it's not something I'll listen to in my car.
Same.
Yeah. Now the whole issue that the jump off of this is, well, many other things. This is just the straw that broke the camel's back. There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm not gonna chase it. So she pretty much was at a Laker game. I wouldn't say she was necessarily scantily clad. She was just wearing a clothing item that was that could be considered inappropriate.
Her ass was fully out at front row at the Lakers game, and it was just out of line.
But the thing is, she was sitting down doing her thing. I don't think anyone really noticed because it wasn't on television. If you go to a Laker game, I don't know if you ever watch a Laker game. Laker games are pretty big televised events. Celebrities sit up front all the time. They always get coverage. And they get shown on the screen. She knew she was going to get screen time, especially on a Sunday game. Yes, and it was a big game. So she decided they put her on the jumbotron. And she decided to start twerking in front of everybody with their ass hanging out of the chaps. So it's bare ass. If you see the video, I wish I could show you some of this stuff, but I can't right now because we're having issues with it. You can find it on the internet. Also, they might do a YouTube thing because it's edited out a lot of stuff. So I don't want to take the risk of that as well. But you can look it up. Trust me, it's out there. But she's pretty much twerking with her butt hanging out, and they show the jumbotron. They cut it off in seconds. The thing is that the cheerleaders or the dancers at the arena were dancing to her songs. Like I see, they wanted to give her coverage to her love, and she threw it back with that. And not a lot of people are happy about this. This is starting to open up discussions about body positivity and whether or not it's always good or bad. Whether or not a lot of people are addressing Lizzo with this. Whether or not they're like, should she be the role model we want her to be? I don't know. I don't know. I'll say this: like, for those who are mad about it being at a game and all that stuff, I get that because that's inappropriate in that way. Same time, I don't understand why they have like some of the dancers they have there and all that stuff too. I don't think that's very necessary. Then again, they don't have like bare butt cheeks hanging out of their pants. So do what you will with that. Is there sexualized tension at a game? Yes. Are you kidding me? With some people wearing and the girls on the floor and all doing all that? Of course. So kids gonna see that already. But I mean, I don't know, Lizzo. You shouldn't have done it.
I mean, so there's a couple layers to this, right?
Oh, it's tons.
So, right. I think the main thing is just, people are saying, why can't she express herself? It's freedom of expression. It's body positivity. If it were a skinny girl, would y'all be tripping? To be honest, me as a parent, yes, I will be tripping. Because if I'm just with my family, my young child, my niece and nephews, whatever, at a game, I don't need a skinny girl, a big girl, any type of nothing doing all that at a place where children are, you know what I'm saying? And then it goes, oh, well, then you need to be educating your children about the body. And okay, so let me do that. Let me make my decision about when I do that as a parent. Don't force your views on me and my child when I'm in public watching a game that I paid a lot of money to come see. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a time and a place. And as a parent, I want to make those decisions for myself when I feel like it's appropriate. I purposely don't take my child to places where there's going to be a lot of cursing or violence or nudity or sex, things like that, for a reason, right? So don't do that to my kid. And it's got nothing to do with her size. It's got nothing to do with who she is at all whatsoever, right?
Thank you for saying that.
And then the fact of the matter is, she's doing this everywhere, right? She's on her Ass-Chella trip. She's in the Wendy's shaking her ass on a counter. She's just doing the most. Again, hey, more power to you. If you're comfortable, if you got it, flaunt it, if that's what you want to do, cool, bet. But you don't realize that it's also turning a lot of people away from your music, all the extra, right? All the antics, all the gimmicks. It's turning people off from the music, which is not bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to enjoy the music, but I have so many problems with her as her that it bothers me.
So I think some people like her are really big fans of hers who are supporting her financially in that way. Like, I'm buying her tickets or t-shirts or merch. I think they come for that.
Right? Yeah. And then there's also, on the flip side, I watched this thing about Cardi B. Did you see the Cardi B statement where she went live and was talking about Lizzo and supported Lizzo and being like, yo, the reason why they don't want to put Lizzo in the category of female pop is because they don't want her to compete with all these other, other pop
Like
star
your Taylor
girls.
Swifts and
exactly,
whatnot.
right?
Everyone's like, they try to put it in a rap category. It's like, she's not a rapper.
Not at all, right? Yeah. So then there's that. So in that sense, it's like, oh, for sure. Like I want to support her. She's a pop artist. She's making pop music. She should be in the pop lane. I get that. So for me, it's difficult because it's like I want to support her in that way, but it doesn't mean that I have to support everything that she does, right? Like I want to see her win. I want to see her be successful. I want her to get the props that she deserved. And then she had the whole joint with her not giving credit to the British girl who actually wrote that line from her song, right?
Yeah.
Whose tweet inspired the line from her song. Just took DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch or whatever.
Wow.
That was inspired by an identical tweet by a British songwriter who she never credited from the jump, right? And this girl had been on the internet like, yo, give me my props, give me my credit. I want the writer's credit, etc.
Yeah, that's my line.
Right. And it was very obvious, like that's where she got it from. And there was nothing from the beginning. She just got her writing credit like maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Lizzo had been in denial and finally just was like, yeah, you're right. Because before, when they asked her about it, she was like, absolutely not. I came up with that line all on my own. And then she was like, no, you're right.
Yeah, there's always a digital trail. The internet never lies.
So,
except when it does.
Right. It's just a lot of little things for me. And again, like
Yeah.
as a woman, like girl, get yours. I'm not
Yeah.
tripping. But at the same time, like there's so many little things that just make it exhausting to support her.
Yeah,
You know?
I hear you. It is tough. There's other aspects of this too, because especially some people like to call in the race card of it in the sense of like, well, she's just a big sister girl for white people to like. And I was like, no, that's like a lot of black audiences don't really mess with her. I don't know 100% about that, but I would say that I'm sure there's a little bit of truth to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that the trope she plays, people do love buying into that. I know a lot of skinny white girls are like, oh, I love her. Why? She's just so free in herself. She's a big girl just doing this thing. I was like, yeah, it's a gimmick. to
Right,
do.
right.
It's such a crazy little gimmick thing. You'll never. That's not.
what
They
I'm
have. You
saying.
have nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? You would never stand up to that. As I thought, I was like, you know, if she wasn't on stage and having like if some random person just got up and did that in public,
You would look at her so crazy.
way different.
If you walked in at the Wendy's where she's shaking her ass on the counter and you
Yeah.
saw that, you would be disgusted
Yeah,
and
you
you would be
wouldn't
like,
be like,
oh
"Oh,
my
I'm such a fan."
gosh. Right, all that.
Yeah.
So, but because she's on stage and you know her name and her music
Yeah.
is very different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be careful with it. I don't know, because I like her being empowered, and I like how some women be like, "Oh, I'm empowered by her." Once again, you have to be careful. I thought the same thing with Cardi B. I was like, be careful. You're putting yourself on ABC now, doing interviews with Ellen, all these other people. It's like, yo, like you're on a whole different platform now. You reach a whole different age group. You're gonna be watched a little differently. You're gonna be judged way differently now because you put yourself on that pop level and at daytime, everyday households. Like once you cross that threshold, you're a different person. When you're sure you have value, you make any money, you got your fame, but that's what it comes at. Like you still want to watch it, just be myself. Like yeah, but when you put yourself on that in that stage and in that way, there is some responsibility because now you know you got young kids all over the place loving you.
For sure.
Not just like a niche market of kids. You have like everyday young kids from
Yeah.
all over the place, you know, especially young white kids. So yeah, you're gonna have to act a little differently. You can't do all this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That sucks though. It shouldn't be that way. So I understand that part. You should be able to be who you want. But if you're gonna be in the public eye, there's responsibility. That's why I said, fuck it. I'm doing my show on the internet. I'm gonna start cursing now because I want to be real with my audience.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, I
Shouldn't
don't
have
wanna
to
bullshit.
censor ourselves.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. If I want this to be an expressive show, then yeah, we have to cut that out. I'm glad I can provide a show that at like a format for like, yeah, if you want to listen to something intelligent and have some kid listen to it without being mortified by language and other part of it, that's great. Not that I'm going to put out anything crazy like that. But to be expressive, I think requires emotion. And when you cut that out, you miss a lot of a story.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my take on it. All right.
Facts.
Well, we got to dip out of here, y'all. And I hate to do it because once you get back in here, it's hard to leave. But we've been running for a while, too. So I guess we just have to naturally leave.
I know. This is fun.
Yeah, thanks,
Come
good to be
back.
back.
Check us out next week. We'll be here.
Don't worry, everybody. I'm going to link you to some of our stuff. Social media and all these other things and YouTube channels, Instagram, and all that other stuff. And I like to open up a format, and you guys can send us your stuff as well. You're like, hey, could you play my video? Could you talk about this? Yes. You just got to send it to me. I will be your voice. That is the whole point of this, I think. So just another way to connect with y'all and have the community be heard and to make my job easier. Sort of. Anyways, so I do appreciate everybody. So the support I've gotten over the last couple months being gone. Your words have been kind and inspiring to me. I didn't know you all missed me that much. I didn't think anyone cared. So that was awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to lovely Beth for sticking around and hanging out. Makes the show great. I appreciate you. All right. Peace out, everybody. We love you.